When I think of the most clever musical numbers I've ever heard, Prince Ali is usually my first thought. Menken's instrumentation is remarkably fun, and Ashman's lyrics are incredibly creative and witty. Of course, when Aladdin got a remake, Disney had to enhance it for, modern audiences. Before we get started, I want to give a quick shout out to the deleted intro of Prince Ali, which you can hear in the demo. It was also preserved for the Broadway adaptation.
He's richer than Croesus, he goes where he pleases, and this time...
I needed you all to hear that. I'm convinced that shook time and space when it was a twinkle in Ashman's eye. If Aladdin 2019 was a better movie, I'd say they should have added it in. But I wouldn't want that golden lyric ruined, so it's for the best. Prince Ali is framed around being a procession for the titular character. This naturally means it starts very boldly, with crescendoing drums and horns.
Jafar, you must come and see this.
Animation-wise, we get to see the dancers parading through the square. In the live action, this establishes my first problem with the song and my problem with live-action Disney adaptations in general. Notice how, in these shots, the road is unrealistically wide, especially compared to this overhead shot. This provides a sense of scale and allows the animators to fit in more dancers. In the live action, they're obviously using a set, which can't change size and can only be so wide. This makes the shots feel more cramped and less impressive. Further, in animation, you could copy as many people as you want, but live action requires a ton of extras. This is a key problem with doing a live action adaptation of something animated. Animation allows you to break reality. If you need a space to be bigger, you could just draw it that way. If you need a certain color palette, you can just draw it that way. Unless you have an extremely creative director, the live action adaptation of something will always be visually insufficient. When you compare the colors in these scenes, you can easily see where the live action version fails to capture the imagination. They can wear the brightest costumes they can find, but they're still at the mercy of studio lighting and color grading. One more thing about this intro before we move on. Does the live action version seem, loud to you? Like, if I put the initial speaking volume at the same level for both, doesn't the live action version swell way too much?
You must come and see this.
What's going on?
I turned that down 5 decibels, by the way. Who needs audio balancing? It's not like this is a musical or something. On to the next lines.
Hey, clear the way in the old bazaar. Hey, you, let us through. It's a bright new star.
In the animated version, the instrumentation is subtle, which helps bring the genie's singing to the forefront. This was probably done for 2 reasons. First, it allows for a more noticeable buildup. Second, it reflects the way the genie is going through the crowd as a normal person away from the fanfare. In the live-action version, the instrumentation is louder.
Hey, clear the way in the old bazaar. Hey, you, let us through. It's a brand new star.
This is probably because the staging is different, with the genie being in the procession proper instead of being off in the crowd. Of course, we lose a lot of the fun of Prince Ali with this setup. The genie magically zipping from person to person and changing form and voices made the scene incredibly endearing. Having the genie just stand there makes it lose a lot of character and charm. Also, Will Smith's voice feels really processed over the instruments. It stands out and feels fake.
Come be the first on your block to meet his eye.
A little thing I want to point out, the live-action version switches it from Bright New Star to Brand New Star, and I can't for the life of me figure out why, which makes me think it was a genuine error they kept in. But hey, overall, that intro didn't sound so bad. It gave me a bit of hope. Just a bit. And then that hope was dashed the moment the first verse came in.
Prince Ali, fabulous, he, Ali, Ababa.
Apparently these very fake-sounding drums were brought in because they, quote, gave Smith the freedom to use his hip-hop background and bring a fresh vibe to the song, end quote. Also, don't quote me on the drums being fake, they might be real, but boy have they been processed. You know, for the modern audiences. After all, today's kids are very familiar with the music of Will Smith, who last put out an album in 2005. The drums drown out the other instrumentation. I can only barely hear the woodwind underneath providing a harmony. I had to raise my volume an embarrassing amount just to catch an auditory glimpse of it. The higher woodwind that helps carry the melody in the original is also absent.
Hey. Prince Ali, fabulous, he, Ali Ababa.
Prince Ali, fabulous, he, Ali Ababa.
Another thing that was changed is that the lines respect and genuflect got reversed for some reason.
Genuflect, show some respect, down on one knee.
Show some respect, boy, genuflect, down on one knee.
The louder drum beat of the remake also hides this little drum roll that appears around the word respect.
Show some respect, down and
Show some respect, boy.
And since it's no longer communicating motion, it feels totally pointless because it's not punctuating the word either. They are a very sharp-sounding pair of words, which makes them sound more like a command when they're said. It just doesn't sound as effective in the live-action version because it's not being acted out as much. On the next line, the flares of the horn are kept, but they don't feel as ingrained in the visuals. Flares like this in animation usually correspond with a visual. In this case, the second flare draws our attention to the way Jafar glares at Iago.
to stay calm. Brush up your Sunday salon.
In the live action, it just shows the band playing trumpets. It fits, it's just not interesting.
Your best to stay calm. Brush up your Friday salam.
Oh yeah, and here's my favorite. They changed Sunday Salam to Friday Salam because the holy day of the week for Islam is on Friday. I appreciate the attempt at religious accuracy, but two things. First, Salam is a greeting. You could say it on any day of the week. Secondly, Friday is the holy day of Islam. If it's midday on a Friday, everybody's praying. They're not in the town square. In their attempt to be more religiously accurate, they became less religiously accurate. It's kind of amazing. It's like a microcosm of something. Rest in peace, my sweet little alliteration. You will not be forgotten. Oh, and shout out to the use of the word coterie here. This song is filled with vocabulary most people would never consider rhyming. But it was Howard Ashman. The man was built differently than the rest of us plebeian lyricists.
Then come and meet a spectacular coterie.
On this line, we also get a really cool animated transition to the next stanza. The genie stacking people that Aladdin will then carry to show off his magical strength. This would have been impossible to pull off in live action, of course, so the genie just points at Aladdin, who nervously smiles. When the genie says the line, strongest 10 regular men, there's this really weird instrumental punctuation in the remake.
Strong as 10 regular men, definitely.
I don't see the point of it because it isn't a big climactic line in the song. There's no build-up to it, and afterwards the instrumentation continues as normal.
Definitely. He's faced a galloping horse.
The following line, like the others in the live-action version, has completely unimaginative visuals.
Galloping horse. 100 bad guys with swords. Who sent those ghouls to their lord?
The genie is just walking and shouting these lines, but that's not really the point of the original. The point is that the genie was disguising himself as townsfolk so he could act like Prince Ali was a big deal they should all know about. Another thing we lose in this particular line is the subtle instrumental changes each time the genie transforms. The most notable one is when he transforms into a child. You could hear flutes or piccolos to reflect youthfulness.
100 bad guys with swords.
Who sent those goons to their lord? Why?
The little phrases between the transformations are kept, but they feel pointless since the genie isn't actually transforming or even moving around that much. These phrases are supposed to communicate movement of some kind, but there isn't any, so they just kind of exist because they were in the original. The remake also adds this beat switch on the bridge.
He's got 75 golden camels.
My goodness, is that bass loud. This is really small, but in the original, when they say purple peacocks, he's got 53, there's a bit of high woodwind there because peacocks are very pretty and delicate.
Fabulous, Harry. I love the feathers.
I don't think it's there in the remake, and if it is, it's incredibly buried in the mix.
Now the ladies, what he got?
Oh, and when they say the line, when it comes to exotic type mammals, they show ostriches, which are, not mammals.
It comes to exotic type mammals.
Under this is a buildup.
When it comes to exotic type mammals.
The goal of the buildup is a turning point, a nice halfway marker for the song.
Has he got a zoo? I'm telling you, it's a world-class menagerie.
It's also one of my favorite rhymes in the song, which is saying something. There's something so quick-witted about it. It's carried by those sharp hits of all the instruments on the start of each line. Here's the key to that, though. Between each hit, there's nothing. In the remake, they managed to mess us up by keeping a consistent drum beat through that section except at the end, leaving those first two lines feeling weaker.
It's a world-class menagerie.
Like, it's amazing how hard they missed the point of these instrumentals. Another minor thing, but it's more tiny lyric changes. In the original, it's, has he got a zoo? In the remake, it's, he's got a zoo. This takes a beat out of the poetic meter and throws me off because it's literally missing its initial beat.
Has he got a zoo?
These changes are just so baffling, like what's the point? The next part of the song is the scene where the genie disguises himself as a comically large woman. Obviously, in the live action, he's just a regular-sized person, so it's a lot less funny, especially since he doesn't burst through the curtain anymore.
Prince Ali, handsome as he, Alibaba.
Prince Ali, handsome is he, Ali Ababa.
Also, do you hear those backing vocals? I think they're the same backing vocals, like they took the original recording and put it in the new version. You'll notice it if you could actually hear the backing vocals under the mixing of the remake.
That physique, how can I speak? Wink at the knee.
That physique, how can I speak? Weak in my knees.
Those voice cracks are so painful. Was it really that hard to just put on a different voice?
Weak in my knees. Yummy boys.
No. That is a horrible ad-lib. Probably the worst ad-lib I've ever heard. Please give me a second. Okay. Something else I noticed is that the shot of Jasmine being fed up and leaving is absent for some reason. I feel like that's a really important character beat to leave out. It shows that Jasmine is unimpressed by superficial shows of wealth and power. In the next stanza, Will Smith takes the "he's got the monkeys" line from the ensemble, and for some reason, it sounds terribly mixed.
He got some monkeys, a bunch of monkeys.
More lyric changes. He's got slaves, he's got servants, to he's got 10,000 servants. This is actually the same number of syllables, so I'm not super offended, but we do lose more alliteration. Instrumentally, it's overbearing, even for a build-up to a climactic point of the song. And is there a reason we had to get rid of the flute in favor of high violins? What is with these remakes in violins? You know that there's other instruments, right? Now, before the big key change in the final verse, the remake puts in this insanely long hold.
We waiting for you. You can do it. There it is. Prince Ali.
That is a 20-second hold in a song that was originally 3 minutes. My only guess as to why is that Disney's once again showing that they've changed since 1992. Ali's elephant bursting through the door is so rude. He should only go in when he's been given permission, or something. Maybe they thought it would be funnier that way? It's not, I'm sorry. So anyway, do you think a bunch of executives sat down in a boardroom and were like, that perfect slowdown to emphasize the start of the final verse was too good, actually. We needed to make it worse. The same executives that are like, yes, we need to add more electronic elements for the youths. Yeah, this slowdown is so intense now that it completely throws off the song. Speaking of throwing off the song,
Heard your princess was hot. Where is she?
if you also found this distressing, you're not alone. I know they're trying to be funny again, but A, it's not funny, and B, this completely messes with the meter of this line.
Heard your princess was a sight lovely to see.
Heard your princess was a sight is 7 syllables. Heard your princess was hot is 6. It pushes back the emphasis a beat. Not only that, but originally there was a lot of focus on S sounds, so punctuating the sentence with an S sound as in C worked really well. Where is she sounds off because it's also 1 syllable less than the original lovely to see. They have to extend where an extra note when it's not an important word to the lyric.
Where is she?
They also changed dolled up to all cute as though dolled up is some dead phrase no one uses. I literally used it last week.
He got dolled up and dropped by.
He got up here and dropped by.
There's no more interactions between the genie and the sultan because they never enter the palace during the song. So we get more people standing around, spinning if we're lucky. Can't show the animals or people being mentioned either. That would be too much work for the CGI team, which is being horribly underpaid, and they need to hire more extras. No magic carpet either. Isn't live action great? Is there any reason Will Smith had to sing these notes an octave down? Sounds awful. We're finally at the end, and I feel exhausted. Has anyone else noticed how little Prince Ali here actually features in a song called Prince Ali? I know it's being framed as the genie leading the procession, but shouldn't we be seeing this great Prince Ali for ourselves? So many of those original shots of him had to be cut because of the transition to live action. Now, this could have still worked. In the Broadway version, Ali's reveal is saved for the very end, but since they don't do that in the live-action movie, he's this awkwardly smiling afterthought. This particular musical number shows exactly why the Disney live-action remakes feel so creatively bankrupt. Animation doesn't just exist to be kid-friendly, it's a medium. Acting like animation needs to be upgraded to live-action is like saying color pencil drawings need to be upgraded to acrylics or it's for children. One medium is going to be able to do things that another medium just can't. Animation is going to allow the genie to zip around and transform without it looking horrifying. Live action can't keep up. It makes one of Disney's best musical sequences look boring, and that's the worst thing any form of art can be. I hope you enjoyed this comparison. If you did, consider subscribing to my channel, or even my Patreon. You'll get early access to videos, the ability to vote on video topics, and when I get more members, a bunch of other cool things. Have a wonderful day.